Hi, everybody. How are you guys doing? I'm very excited to be discussing a topic related to the US. Obviously, a lot of queries from you guys. So, super excited to be discussing. Hi, everybody. How are you guys doing? I apologize. We're going to be discussing top 3 talent visas today, and we have an expert in-house. But before that, please let me know how are you guys doing? Hi, Shekhar. Hi, Biplab. Hi, Avinash. Doing very well, thank you. Thanks for asking. All right. We'll discuss all the details. Just letting a few more people join in. Where are you guys joining us from? Please let us know in the comments. Where are you joining up from? Thanks, Haider. Hi, Abhishek. Hi, Prakash. Little one is doing well, thank you. Hi, Manu. Hi, Imran. I am actually very interestingly in India right now as we're talking. Oh, you're from Bengal. Oh, lovely. Okay. All right. Okay. So, I just have a I'm curious. When it comes to the US, how many of us have thought about moving there, want to move there? What are we thinking? How to immigrate to the US is what we're going to discuss today. We have an expert that's going to be joining us, and I definitely am looking forward to having him share all the details with us. Thank you, Manu. Okay, we're gonna obviously we have an expert today. He is an immigration expert and he's helped more than 2,000, I think almost more than 2,500 people migrate. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna get a lot of insight today about the overall immigration situation in the US and how can we make sure um, that we use it to the best. Um, Imran is saying, I thought of moving, but H-1B lottery. So here's the thing, you don't need to go via the H-1 route. That is what we're going to discuss today. There are actually alternatives to H-1B, and there are multiple amazing visas that you could be using to your benefit. Hi there. Very interestingly, one of the questions that I do have for our expert today is the impact of Trump administration and rules and what we think he's going to do in the first 100 days of being in office. Is it possible to get 100% scholarship? Yes. While today's session is not for that, definitely you can definitely get a 100% scholarship if you are smart about it and you put your application well. That's it. I'm just gonna check when Stanislav, our amazing expert, can join us. Give me a moment, guys. All right. US is like a dream come true, Biplab. Well, I think that is true for a lot of people. So for sure, we're going to explore some interesting pathways today. Does having a US visit visa give an edge? Not really, to be honest. But again, I mean, I will leave that to, I think we can ask the amazing immigration expert that's going to be joining us, and he can sort of give us an insight into what helps and what doesn't.
Hi guys.
Hi,
Hi.
Stanislav. How are
Hi
you?
Nidhi. I'm pretty good. Can't complain. It was a little rough night with my daughter, but you know,
Oh, well, how old is your little one?
she's 1.5.
Oh my God, mine is two, so I get you. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
well, thank you so much for joining us. We have a lot of people that obviously are already asking me questions about what happens when Trump comes into power. But before we jump onto the US immigration, I thank you for taking out the time and having a conversation with us here. Also, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and do you really think that H1 there are pathways beyond H1B? That's the big question that a lot of people in the comments have.
Right. Okay, sure. First of all, thank you for inviting me to this stream. I love to give back to the community and give the value to the people who are willing to get that knowledge for the purpose of coming to the US. My name is Stanislav Shamayev. I'm a licensed business, immigration, and corporate attorney in Miami, Florida. I'm also founder of the company Shamayev Business Law, which encompasses about 100 people working in the project in 10 different departments. I myself and my team specialize in talent visas, national interest waiver visas, business and investment visas. So we have a very narrow niche that we do the work in. We have more than 2,500 approvals for more than 10 years of working in the industry. And we have more than 90% approval chance for all our petitions that we file with our clients. Um, Going back to your question on H1B, yeah, I guess that question is coming mostly from Indians who are on H1Bs, and I know a lot of them have EB2 approved in their cases, or EB3 sometimes, but because of the long priority dates that could be 10 years, 15 years, of course, it's a moment of desperation, and what should I do to push my green card forward and get that done and start doing the citizenship path? And I know that all those stories from coming from my clients, because a lot of them from India, and they give us a lot of trust because we know how to get them those green cards faster than it is right now. But before I say what I need to say, I want to tell that everybody who's watching us live and who's going to rewatch the stream later, you guys will get a unique opportunity to get the express evaluation of your cases. The links are going to be below this video, and also we provide those links to you guys. It will take like pretty much like 5-10 minutes for you to do the work, answer a few questions. And if I see the potential, then I will provide you the further guidance how to proceed with the process. More specifically for Indian-born people, if you guys on H1Bs and you have your EB2 or EB3 approved in the past, the best way, and pretty much the only way, but it is the best, is to get the EB1A. the talent visa. And I know that a lot of you like, oh my God, like I'm not an Oscar winner, I'm not a Nobel Prize winner, I don't have those extraordinary abilities. And Nidhi, you know that like EB1A is like extraordinary, right? So, but let me guys tell you that that visa is requires only being a good professional in the field. And because you guys on H-1B, you already worked in big companies, you're making good money, you're working on some products, on some goods that are important for the market. You do a lot of assessment of the work of other professionals. You may or you are already a part of the professional associations, and we can always help you with the academic publications and the press articles on you through the PR agencies. So basically, within the sentence, I put about 6, maybe 7 criteria of EB1A, right? I didn't call them, but that's what they mean because the talent is measured by the criteria. We're probably going to touch base on that a little bit more, but your straightforward way is EB1A, the talent visa, and I have a great success rate with Indians, non-Indians to get those visas approved. And this is the best what you can do in this sense. Everybody else who is not India born or who's on H-1B without EB2, EB3 approvals, your options are larger. First of all, you guys still can do EB2, EB3 through the labor certification through your employer. And the wait time is not as long as for Indian-born people. So that's the first one you should consider. You also should consider EB1A, just like everybody else, because you probably satisfy a couple of criteria and we can improve on the rest. And also EB2 NIW is a great way to get the green card through your employer or through your experience, through your education. And those are the most popular ways to get that green card.
Okay. Well, I mean, first of all, I think a lot of us are already excited knowing that it is not as difficult as EB1A criteria generally talks of Nobel Prize. So it doesn't
Right.
glad to know that that's really not the case. So today we're going to be talking about O1, EB1A, and then EB2 national interest waiver, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay, so I think I'm going to take the question first, which was about Trump's election. Somebody already asked us that in the comment section. Um,
Mhm.
Very tumultuous elections, but now that we're done, what do you think is going to be Trump's first policies towards immigration in the first 100 days of him taking office?
So I have a pretty firm position on this, and I know that a lot of immigration attorneys will disagree with me. But I'm coming off the empirical data that we had when Trump was in the office back in the day, right? So the general notion that, oh my God, Trump is going to come, he's going to start closing the programs, he's going to make it tough, he's going to do things that will make people get deported and things like that. But that's not actually what's going to happen. And that's not what he's saying. What's going to happen, in my opinion, and what's the policies behind the Republican Party? They are going to be tough on the illegal immigration,
Mm.
right? So all those loud voices and all those things that they say, that concerns only people who cross the border with Mexico illegally. And the concern is that we bring criminals and people who are going to do bad things in the States. So that's the main concern as to that part. However, as to the legal immigration, that thing is going to blossom, and specifically EB1A and EB2 NIW, H1B, and other professional visas, O1, the ones that we're going to be discussing today, they're going to be at the top of the food chain. Let's call it this way. And by the way, yesterday, Elon Musk they filed a lawsuit in Washington, D.C. against those, I can't remember the party name, but that lawsuit is about the immigration policies that were in place before. So basically what Elon Musk is trying to say, and we know he's going to be in a DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency,
Yeah.
they're trying to say, hey guys, we need to expand the skilled professional immigration to the US. And we need to slow down or cancel the illegal immigration because that's a little too much at this point. So when you hear things like that from people who are going to be in the government, you know, that actually supports my position that not only we're going to have optimization of the processes in the USCIS, DHS, and just in general, things going to get faster, things going to get digitized, and I pray to God to that because you know cases get lost, the things like don't get to the USIS, and we still use so much paper for nothing. That's the easy thing to do. But besides that, besides the optimization of the processes, we do expect the expansion of the skilled professionals immigration to the US. And
Mhm.
that's gonna what's the practical effect of that? I believe what's gonna happen, and I don't know if it's gonna happen within the first 100 days, although that should happen pretty fast. We're probably gonna get the increase in the cap for
Uh-huh.
H-1Bs,
Oh.
which I think is really good news. We're probably going to get the increase on the cap on the number of the green cards for merit-based immigration. What's merit-based immigration? EB1A, EB2, and IW, right? So the visas that we're talking about. And we're going to get probably the streamroll of those processes to bring those people faster because now we need to wait months and months and months until those people come into the US. So
Mhm.
the bottom line of this is, guys, don't worry about Trump being a president. Actually, be excited about that because they're gonna bring good things to you, the legal immigrants. They're gonna be tough on illegal immigration, and that's number one. And number two, based on the statistical data from 2017 to 2021, and we analyzed all that data for you guys. The chance of approval for EB1A, EB2NW, O1s were much higher than the
Mhm.
prior administration, Obama administration,
Oh,
and much higher than Biden administration. So what we
interesting.
actually, yes, and that's everybody can check it. It's open, it's available online. So we know how many cases were filed and we know how many cases were approved, right? So for all administrations, and
Yeah.
Trump stands out with increased approvals for those cases. So you guys make your conclusions yourself.
Well, no, this is definitely, not what I think a lot of us tend to see in the media. I mean, we focus more on the word immigration and we forget that they're talking about illegal migrants and not the legal migrants. Um,
Exactly.
but now that we know that talent visas are going to be in heavy demand, who do you think can apply? Like, what's an ideal candidate, and how can somebody become an ideal candidate? If I want to understand, who do you think can apply for a talent visa in a way that it's going to be successful? What's the profile?
All right, so there are five categories of talent.
Mm.
That is science, education, business, art, and sport, right? So five large categories. And I understand some contemporary professions stay like in between. It could be like education and science and business and sports. It could be different things. But as long as we are within that framework,
Mm.
what actually important to me is the achievement and recognition of the professional skills,
Mm.
right? So, and again, why? Because we measure talent by the criteria,
Right.
not by the profession it's in itself.
Yeah.
But I understand your question. I understand where you're coming from, and those people who ask, like, let me rephrase it. What kind of professions or occupations are going to be in a larger demand in the future for the purpose of the talent visa. And I can definitely say that the STEM professions and business are going to be in a huge demand. What is STEM? Science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So basically, IT specialists, cybersecurity, blockchain, programmers, senior positions, solutions architects, and things like that. Engineers, architects, doctors, the mental health specialists, scientists, biology, physics, math, whatever that is, all type of engineers,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So those professions, they're going to be in huge demand because first of all, they have the skill, they have the merit, and we have a huge demand. That's what Elon Musk is talking about right now. And in my company, all those people that I mentioned, all those categories, we have almost 100% approval rate for those specific categories because they've always been in demand, but they will be even in a more demand. And that's the general idea. And I know somebody like Stanislav, give us the exact professions, okay? All right, I'll give you like a few of them just to make my case. The artificial intelligence specialist, huge, big, 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 big. Anything that has to do with artificial intelligence from the business side, from the IT side, that's going to be
Huh.
huge. Cybersecurity specialist, huge demand, huge demand, especially in the banking and finance system for big corporations. Those specialists are a huge demand. Besides that, anything that has to do with space and avio industry is going to
Okay.
be in a huge demand.
Okay.
And besides this part, I would call all engineers, regardless, mechanical, electrical. I just got approval for subway engineer who's doing the underground work, civil engineers, all type of engineers are going to be in demand. That's number two. Number three, mental health awareness specialist. So psychiatrists, people who build platforms with AI, integrated with AI, who can do the assessment of people, this kind of thing, are going to be really big. And the last one, the fourth one, and again, this is not a exhaustive list, but in general, anybody who is dealing with agricultural sector. So agro sector, if you guys it could be different sides. It could be fertilizers. It could be the biochemistry side of it. It could be the plants, the trees, the farms. We just got approval for farm for cow, EB2NW case. So you know that those things exist. A farm and a hotel for cows, right? So if you guys have cows, you want to drop it at the hotel, bring it to our clients. The equipment for farms, for agricultural sector, business in that side, repairs, anything, maintenance of those things, those are going to be also really huge.
Wow. So actually, when we think of talent, we tend to think of you have to be some cybersecurity specialist. That I would have expected, but I wouldn't have expected agro tech to be in this
Oh
space.
yeah, definitely.
It,
Definitely, agrospace is could be a talent, and they could be good for EB1A, for O1, and for EB2NW as well.
So honestly, I think, guys, the best way is to we will update. We've already, I think, we've updated the link. So please get your profile checked because honestly, I think when we think of it just from a layman perspective, we think, oh, I'm not that qualified, but you really never know. Your profession
Never, yeah.
very well be in demand. So Stanislav, how long does this entire process take? Say I come to you and I'm like, okay, this is good. If you think you can take my case on, let's get started. So how long does the process take?
Sure. 2 points here, two large points. The Indian born, non-Indian born, right?
Okay.
So as always, because
Okay.
India is special in our hearts, right? So it's special for America too, for the immigration process.
Thank you.
So yes, non-Indian born people and O1 for Indian born, okay? So EB1A and EB2 and IW are separate for Indians. We're gonna cover it in a little bit. So O1 as a non-immigrant visa for everybody in the world, 6 months to prepare the case and 2 months for the embassy.
Okay.
Right? So altogether 8 months, as long as I qualify you, and guys remember you the link of the express assessment. That's how I know if you qualify for those programs. They're going
Okay.
to be provided to you. They're going to be under this video who's watching us as a restream offline. So O1 is about 8 months.
Okay.
EB1A is about 6 months, also preparation of the case, filing it, working with the team, getting it improved, describing it, writing the memorandum, and with expedited processing, about 2 weeks to approve it, and then about 9 months to get you through the embassy. So a year and 3 months, I would say a year and a half. Let's round it up. So a year and a half for EB1A, but this is a green card, right? So this is an
Yeah.
immigrant visa. O1 is gives you 3 years option to stay and work in the US.
Okay.
EB2 and IW, also 6 months, case preparation, working with a team,
Mm.
expedited approval up to 45 days, but usually they're pretty fast. Within 2 weeks, we get them approved. And this one is a little bit longer because there's a backlog in the priority dates. It would take about 2 years to get the embassy interview scheduled, just because of that backlog. So to summarize, O1 for everybody in the world, about 8 months from the start of working on the case until we get in the States. About a year and a half for EB1A, the talent visa, the green card, and about 2.5 years for EB2 and IW. So that's the first thing. For Indian-born people, same thing, 6 months preparation, EB2 in AW and EB1A, but the wait is much longer, about 3 years for EB1A
Mm.
and about 12 years for EB2 and IW. That's why we don't really consider that one for the Indians.
Okay.
But we can substitute the priority dates with past EB2 approved for Indians with the fresh EB1As. So going back to those situations when Indian-born client on H1B with EB2 approved sometime in the past, once we get them EB1A approved, we ask the government to substitute those priority dates as if EB1A was approved at the time when EB2 was approved. And
Mm.
that usually qualifies us for immediate filing for the green card. So
Oh, wow.
this is a good news for those who are on H1B from India with EB2 approved sometime in the past.
Wow. Okay. Um, and just to be sure, do we need a sponsor? Do I need an employer for any of these pathways initially, or can I apply for them if I have a very strong case given my background?
And this is a great question because it also relates back to the Trump policies and why EB1A and EB2NIW are the only two visas in the whole immigration law of the US that not only contradict those policies, but actually supply them.
Mhm.
So both of them do not require an employer,
Oh,
right? So EB1A is self-petition. EB2NW is kind of self-petition too, but there's like little details. I'm not going to spend much time on that because we can spend 1 hour explaining that. But just for the ease of understanding, both of them, let's call them self-petition, meaning no employer needed.
mm.
We may have an employer, but we don't need them. We don't require to provide. So that's good because first of all, not everybody can get an employer. But second of all, that doesn't contradict the Trump's policies that the immigrants are taking up the American jobs,
Yeah.
right? With
Yeah.
those two visas, we do not take the jobs. We actually create the jobs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And both of these visas are merit-based, meaning that we get them because we achieved something in our professional career. And that's what Republicans want. They want the qualified people, right? So they're both merit-based. They both don't get American jobs. That's why they're at the top of this whole thing. And they are the greatest solution for people who are good professionals in the field.
Okay. So how does one get started at this? Honestly, I don't think before in the last couple of months is when I've lived in the US and I've never considered a talent visa myself. This sounds very daunting. How do you suggest one gets started with the process?
Well, so there are a few ways to start. I already suggested, and you also mentioned that, Nidhi, that the express assessment thing, right? Even without actually knowing what are the criteria, what
Yeah.
needs to be done, you guys can go through express assessment, and it's gonna take you really literally like a few minutes to get that done, and
Fair
I'll
enough.
get back to you almost immediately after we finish. So that's the fastest way. Other than that, let's say somebody wants to wait till the New Year or whatever, the Christmas, and Lord knows, and being an immigration attorney for almost 10 years, I know that if you want to come to the US and if you really know that you qualify, you need to start acting yesterday, right? Because
Very
things
true.
change so, yeah, things
Very
change so fast, so fast. Other than that, you guys need to know the exact criteria behind each visa, right? So we kind of touched base on that in the beginning of the of this stream, but I'm going to give a little more details on that right now. So O1 and EB1A, they have 8 criteria, out of which, and I will say this, 8 criteria available to everybody, because actually EB1A is 10 criteria, but that's a little too much for today. So 8 criteria that we may apply to almost all professions, and we need to satisfy only 3 out
Oh,
of these 8 to get approved for the talent visa. So it's
interesting.
already not as daunting as it was before. So what are those criteria? Awards, professional awards, the press coverage of our work and what we do, the judging the work of other professionals, and that could be in a frame of competition as a judge, or within the framework of everyday's work. If we do the assessment, if we check out the code of other people, if we have to see what other professionals did. So that's the judging.
Mm-hmm.
Membership in professional associations, that's
Mm-hmm.
4.
Mm-hmm.
5, innovative and significant contribution in the field.
Okay.
And that could be patents, that could be books, that could be publications, dissertations, courses, products in big companies, services in big companies, open source codes, libraries. The list is really big, right? So that's 5. Number 6, the critical leading role in a company with distinguished reputation. So if you guys worked in companies that are recognized in the field and you did at least something for them, and everybody, I hope, do something when they work, we
Mm-hmm.
can qualify you as a critical role.
Oh,
As if you lead people, if you control people, that's the leading role, okay? So that's the 6th criterion. The 7th one is the commercial success, and that's measured by your salary. If you 20 to 30% or more above the average professional in your field, in your geographical location. So let's make an example. An IT specialist from Washington, D.C. making $200,000, where the average is 150 in Washington, D.C. We are 25, we're like 30% above the average, so we qualify for commercial success,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that measured by the industry, by the geographical location, and by the money that we make.
Yeah.
That's the 7th one. And number 8 is academic articles, right? Scientific articles. And press and scientific articles could be improved on by the PR agencies that we work with on cases of our clients, right? So that's how we make those cases really, really strong. That's O1 and EB1A.
Okay.
If we're talking about EB2 and IW, we need to have education, bachelor's and 5 years of experience, or a master's. Or if we don't have education for whatever reason, and sometimes it's in IT sector or
Yeah.
business people, right? Sometimes you just don't have that self-learned
Yeah.
professions.
Yeah.
We can do the exceptional ability. It's like extraordinary ability in EB1A, but much easier to prove.
Okay.
There's like 6 criteria. We need to prove 3 out of them.
Just 3 hours.
Yeah, so that's number one, education. Number two, we need to propose some kind of idea of the endeavor of a project that we will be involved. And those ideas of the projects that usually come from our professional background. Basically, what did you do today in the morning? What kind of problems you were solving in
Yeah.
your field?
Yeah.
You can propose to resolve those problems in the US because the usually international problems are the same.
Yeah.
And that resolution of that problem needs to be in the national interest of the United States government,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
basically all STEM professions, IT, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, blockchain, science, the business in the technology, all those things usually have the national interest. That's number two. So education, a project. And the third one, that criterion is called well-positioned, which means that we must have experience, similar projects, certifications, maybe publications, maybe a lot of knowledge from the industry to put us in the position to realize the project that we claim is going to help the US.
Mm.
Right? So basically, the fear of not getting approved or not understanding the process comes from a lack of knowledge how actually those visas are approved through the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
And in my company, we established the methodology that we go by with 6 months working on a case and getting it to the level of being approved by the immigration officer.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. No, this is very helpful. And I did not realize that you only have to satisfy 3 out of all the criteria that's given. Thanks for all the info. I'm actually going to move to some interesting questions that have popped up in the
Sure,
live. So,
absolutely.
Vishesh is asking us, I have a priority date in December 2022 for EB2 approved. I'm not a
Mhm.
super genius person, but I work a normal job in the tech industry. I'm willing to put efforts for building my EB1 profile. How do I start? Do you have to be a genius?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Actually, I didn't want to say that, but I kind of have to say it now due to this question. Guys, if you are, and I guess that person is Indian born probably, right? Because yeah,
Yes,
because
Vishesh.
priority date, because otherwise she would already get the
Yeah.
process started with her
Yes.
green card.
Yes.
So guys, if you're Indians and if you're on H-1B visa and you have EB2 approved, 95% of you will be eligible for the EB1A. It's
Oh,
just it's and it's not because like you're geniuses and things like that. You're just good professionals in your field, and there's a track record of that. So without knowing, you probably satisfy 4 or 5 criteria out of those that I mentioned. We can always add a couple of more to this, making your case just bulletproof, right? When you're
okay.
3, we can always get you up to 6, 7, 8 criteria. So basically all of them. And there's no way but the approval coming in this case. So so we have the priority date December 2022. The priority date for EB1A for Indians is February 2022. Basically, what it means is that once we go for 6 months building the EB1 case, and assuming that priority dates will be moving with us
Yes.
with those 6 months, basically at the time when we file and getting that EB1A approved, we maybe need to wait for a couple of more months before we can file for adjustment of status. So let's say this person starts working on her case right now. We get it approved sometime mid-June 2025. We probably wait another 2-3 months until that EB1A priority date catches up with December 2022, and then we file for adjustment of status. So this lady will be holding her green card in her hands sometime around summer 2026.
Oh, okay. Well,
Instead of waiting for another at
10.
least 10, maybe 12, maybe 15, because it looks like it's building
Yeah.
up,
Yes.
and Lord knows when it's going to happen.
Yes. Well, that is exciting news for you, Vishesh. Definitely, get in touch with them. I'm sure they'll give you a lot more insights. Rajiv here is asking us, I'm a senior consultant in EY working in finance and operations. His age is 44. Does he still have a chance to apply? Is age a barrier in any of these visas?
The oldest client that I ever had in my almost 10 years practice in my own company was about 72 years old. That gentleman was from Kazakhstan. He was a businessman. He had venture investment in his startup ready for him to go. So that guy at 72 years old was still
Wow.
doing the startups. He had an idea and secured like a couple of $1 million from American venture investors for his idea for his green card. Okay. So we got him approved. Everything is good. Now he is doing this great. He continues doing these great things at age of 75. So your age, guys, it has nothing to do with your recognition and achievement in the industry. And mind that the anti-discriminatory policies in the US are bulletproof on the federal level, and immigration law is on federal level. So even if they don't like that you're 43, 44, whatever, which I don't see how it's going to happen, they cannot not approve. That's like double negation, but that sounds right in this case, right? That because of that, because of anti-discriminatory policies, right? So on the way up, there's no limit. On the way down, also there is no limit. But if it's a kid, if it's a teenager, the only thing that we need to be mindful is that they need to be the top of the field within the adults, right? So the easier case is a chess player. An
Okay.
example, right? Like a 10-year kid can beat,
Yes.
50-year-old
Very,
guy like with a
yes.
closed with eyes closed, right?
Very true.
So among the professionals, right? So sport maybe was one of them when we can deal with this. Maybe acting, like art, is another example. And some IT or math guys, younger, this Indian guy, like genius, he's like beating this Olympic math games, like that guy can get his green card at the age of whatever, 14 or 15.
Oh, so you can
Yeah.
actually get it even before you're 18, and
Oh,
there is
absolutely. Absolutely.
that's good to know. So
Yeah.
there really is no age criteria because I would have imagined like there would be an age limit, 18 to 40, something like that. But it's good to
No,
know.
not at all. Not at all.
All right. Okay, that's good to know. So Grafted Technology asks us, how long does it take to get the approval for National Interest Waiver EB2? They have a PhD degree and they're in Africa.
All right. So, guys, when I hear PhD, and it doesn't matter in Africa, in South America, in Ukraine, it doesn't matter. In my mind, that's equal green card. Okay.
Hmm.
So basically, PhD equals green card. And it could be EB1A, it could be EB2NW, depending on the case. But just the nature of work you have done to get that PhD, you will satisfy right off the bat like 5 criteria.
Mm,
Okay, so a PhD is a green card.
yeah.
And maybe by the way, when Trump becomes the president, they have that program in their mind to keep the PhD in the US, and they even create a separate program for PhD people just to get automatic green card.
Oh,
Okay,
wow. Okay.
so yeah, and that comes from understanding what PhD brings to the table, right?
Hmm.
So before that happens, we still can get you guys in through other means.
Mhm.
Like I said, the B1A, B2NW. So how long the case is going to be approved? We kind of touched on that, but let me repeat because I know there's a lot. And
Yeah.
EB1, oh my God, I already forgot.
Yeah.
So getting the case ready, 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay, pretty much doesn't really matter. It's O1, it's EB1A, it's
Okay.
EB2NW. It's going to be 6 months working closely with my team under my processes and under my control. Once we file the case, expedited processing, 15 days, 2 weeks for O1 or EB1A. Okay, and I do recommend. Sometimes I even push the clients to do it's a little bit more expensive. Guys,
Yeah.
totally worth it. Okay,
Worth.
totally worth it. Yes. So it's 2 weeks for talent and up to 45 days for EB2NW, but they actually approve much faster than that, about 2 weeks as well. So that's how fast your petition is going to be approved. Another question, with that approval, how fast you will be in the US? And again, I'll want to repeat myself, but it's important. 2 months for O1, about 9 months to 1 year for EB1A, and about 2 years with EB2NW.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm going to move on to the next question. Uh, Somebody's asking us, can indie hacker get EB1A if he has exited some projects? I think is it related more depending on field, or do you think it's truly dependent on what the work you've done?
Exactly. Yes. So let me guys give you a few examples so you maybe have a better understanding.
Hmm.
Just recently, I got an approval of EB1A, Extraordinary Ability Visa, right? When you think about Nobel Prizes and things like that.
Yes.
I got that approved for a car mechanic.
Okay.
Okay. Just to give you an idea, right? So that's one example. Another example, a talented wedding organizer.
Oh, wow.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. A talented person who creates presentations for corporations.
Like
Okay,
creating PowerPoint presentations?
yeah, exactly. Talented corporate secretary. Okay, so and of course, IT, business, professionals, architects, designers, those cases, we get approvals every day, every day. So the reason I mentioned those specific talents, and there's a lot more, like a talented insurance issuer person in
Yeah.
business, right? So it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter. I have like a separate list of talents that are crazy, like 20 of them, which you don't think you could be a talented person in that.
Yeah.
For me, just like you, Nidhi said, for me it's more important. What have you done in your field? What's your profession? What kind of achievement recognition you have in your profession? And we go off that.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, so clearly, the field doesn't matter. I think it's more
Yeah,
important about like what your achievement is, irrespective of what you do. Um,
absolutely.
I think I'll take one more question and we'll call it a night after that. I'm a Ukrainian, recently moved to the US. If I have equity in startup and I work on leading engineering role, um, it it's not famous, but it has office and everything. Will I qualify for EB1A? I think similarly,
Yes, that's not enough for me to assess, right? Because I need to know if we have
yes.
if she has awards, if she judged the competitions, if she wrote the publications, what kind of companies she worked before, what was her
Yeah.
salary, right? Like we go by the criteria. So again, the express assessment is going to do the trick. You guys will get the link to the express assessment. You'll answer a bunch of questions and you almost immediately will know if you have a potential in the case.
All right. Okay. Well, this has been amazing. I think that brings me to the end of just my own questions and everybody else's as well. But just to wrap up, the first thing that I would suggest everybody to do is do the express assessment, whether you're watching this live or not. Don't worry. We'll leave the link, and Stanislav's team and him, they will definitely reach out to you guys. So I think that's the best way. And I'm so glad that you pushed us to think beyond the box, because generally when it comes to the US, I think H1B, L1, that's where the clock stops.
Mm-hmm.
But now I think, and also when it comes to EB1A, we all think, oh my God, like Nobel Prize is the only criteria that I remember. Now,
Right, or Olympic champion, something like
but
that.
now I'm going to remember car mechanic, and I'm going
Right.
to remember the guy who makes presentation for corporations. That's going to be my takeaway from this session. That it's so much about your the work that you've done, the achievement in your professional setting. So honestly, I'm glad that finally there is a pathway where you don't need a lot of insane education, uh,
Hmm.
and you don't have to be a superstar, which unfortunately a lot of countries demand today. And we keep talking about
Right.
skill, but thank you so much, Stanislav.
My
Guys,
pleasure.
is going to be up on the channel, so you can of course send it to your friends, anybody that's in the US figuring out a way. Stanislav is there to help. Thank you, Stanislav. Have a good one, and thank you everybody for joining us.
It
Thanks.
was my pleasure.